Many Tesla owners install a dash camera. This is my setup here. It cost me about $75. I wrote about it rather extensively when I installed it, and you can find all of that on teslapittsburgh.com. The most common dash camera installation tends to be the Blackvue system. I'm going to install a new competitor called Thinkware. The reason many Tesla owners use the Blackvue system is because it's very, very good. Typically, an owner will install a front camera and a rear-facing camera to protect them in all situations. Like the Blackvue, the Thinkware camera comes with an optional rear camera addition. I'll be testing the newest version, the F770. Of course, it comes with the camera, cabling, an SD card and reader, and some mounting hardware. Additionally, I'll be adding on their rear-facing camera, and it comes with its own very long cable. On price and specifications, this is very close to the Blackvue system, and I'll test it head-to-head once it's installed. The camera itself is quite compact. Here I have it sitting on my iPhone 5. The camera will mount up using these slots, and the lens is adjustable along that axis. There's a reset button on this side and a microphone, though check your local laws to see if you should be recording anything. And there are more controls on what will become the underside of the camera once it's mounted. On this side, there is a door that opens up to reveal the power port and where the rear camera plugs in. Good morning. I had started installing the Thinkware camera last night, just running the cables along the windshield header, and decided that I wanted to do a more complete installation and hide everything. So I redid all of it today, and I'm going to show you what's left. Okay, so there's the camera there behind the mirror. Before I show you how it's in there, let me show you my most valuable player. This is a garden hoop, or a hoop from a garden waste bag that you'd use for like collecting leaves and stuff. The bag was dead, but I'd kept this, and now I know why. I sharpened one end of it, and that allowed me to get it through the headliner from here to the driver's side, or to the passenger door, and also from the headliner to the hatch in the back of the car. So if you have something like this, it really is ideal. It's flexible, and you can still see the tape from the last cable pull that I did. So I'd push it through, hook up the cable to the other end, and then pull it all the way through, and it's a piece of cake. And I wish I'd done this first time around. So there's the camera as it sits. You adhere this little bracket on there, and then it slides onto that mount. And I've centered the lens, and from the driver's seat you really can't see it at all. And ran all the cables through the headliner itself, so it's completely concealed. Here, let's walk around, I'll show you. My car's probably going to turn on because I haven't been in here for a while. So again, try to get the camera to mimic my view. That's about what you would see. Really, you can't hardly tell it's there. It does talk to you, which is a little bit strange. And then from the passenger seat, I would say the view is probably about the same, but definitely better than before. So once we get up here, I'll show you how it's mounted up there. Best I can anyway. Alright, so it sits on a bracket, like I said, and it actually slides on and off of that bracket. It's a little tricky to line up, so I'm not going to slide it off. But you probably saw it when I had it on the hood. And then the power cables run out the back, and I ran them through this mirror housing to this door, which flips down. And some people are able to do a continuous power here, but my car is a little bit newer than the ones that can do that, oddly enough. And then from there, I have the power cable goes that way, and then the cable for the rear camera goes that way, because I didn't want to run them the same direction. So that's where that hoop came in, and I pushed that all the way through, and then it goes, it comes out, I'm trying to think, right about here. And then it's in the weather stripping, down, around, underneath, and the rest of it's basically the same as how my other dash cam had done. But by doing that, I now have no more adhesive along here and no more wires up here, which will be great for like slapping up the Easy Pass and stuff. Now if you watch the other installation I had done for the cheaper camera a while ago, a lot of people ask, what did I use? Well, this is the stuff that I used for that one. And I just cut little strips and ran them all the way along that edge up there. And I would say Now, about 2.5 years later, probably a third of them were still the original strips, and I've replaced 2/3 of them, probably a third each year, just to kind of keep it staying up there. So it's pretty good stuff. And I'll be doing that later today when my old dash camera gets put onto my Subaru. So, and the rear camera goes along this, up in this tray up here. All the extra cable, and there was quite a bit of extra cable, was actually stashed inside the crossbar there of the pano. I can't quite pull it down. But anyway, it's all jammed up in there. And then it goes along here and goes into the trunk. So again, it comes through that bit of the header here, using my MVP there, my hoop. It's all inside the weather stripping. I'm just going to leave this cable hanging there. When the hatch is closed, there's like a loop that just kind of goes just about here, and that's the only visible wire. And frankly, I can't see it, and I don't think anybody else is going to care because of where it's at. So I'm just going to leave that be. I know some people are running their cables through these rubber grommets and stuff, and maybe later if I get ambitious I will do that. Because I am going to have to rewire the back camera at some point, and I'll show you why. So here's the camera on the back side. Let's get nice and close so you can see what that says there. See? It says Thinkware, right? It's right side up. Guess what? Camera is upside down. Apparently this is a common thing for this company. Oh, I did have to take off this piece. It comes off very easily. Not a big deal. You just pull it straight out, all the way across. And there's one little modification I had to do. You can't really hardly see it. I did a little tiny notch in the back side so that the wire could go up in there. It's not even a hole. I literally just took my drill bit and just kind of held it. I didn't drill through that piece. I just kind of held it against and let it, like at the side, eat in basically a nice half circle. Anyway, so that is actually upside down when I look at it in the phone on the live view. So, a couple things. First of all, it's colossally stupid to print your company literature or your company name, and all the printing on the back of the camera also is oriented that direction. So when you look at it, it looks like it's on there right side up. So that's colossally stupid. It was colossally stupid of me to put it up there with that mounting tape without first checking it. I'll admit that. But when I looked online to see if I was the only one who had ever done this, I realized that I was not. Many people have done the same mistake. So given, with other cameras, this company's been making cameras for a while. So given that, I think it's colossally stupid to be making a product that people are installing incorrectly over and over again, and to never actually address that. And the fact that the software for the camera also does not address that is colossally annoying as well. So that's pretty much, as far as I'm concerned. See there, she starts up. Pretty regretful. So I don't know if she'll talk to us or not. Usually it'll say continuous recording has started.
Continuous recording will now start.
There you go. And it's going. So we're going to give it a try, and I'll let you know what I find out. Alright, so we're here going to do a night test of the Thinkware camera against Darren's Blackvue system and see how they compare in low light. So the first thing we did was take the cars out of the Sheetz gas station where we met up and took them out onto the highway because that was the section of road closest to where we were. For the most part, we tried to keep the cars side by side as best we could once we got them into position so that you could see the difference between the quality of the cameras. And one of the things I want to point out to you is the sky. If you look at the tone in the sky here, you'll see that on the Thinkware camera you can definitely make out the cloud cover more clearly than you can on the Blackvue camera. The Blackvue camera, generally speaking, seems to be emphasizing contrast and saturation to give us a stronger image, but the Thinkware image is definitely truer to life, even though in comparison it looks a little bit washed out. Reading license plates in the dark does require that you are very close to the cars, and I think there's a few that I've tried to include here, including Darren's car, and it's just hard because the license plate lights kind of dazzle the cameras a bit. But you would certainly see things well enough that you could get a description if you needed to in the event of a hit and run or something like that. Once you're on the two-lane back roads, what we're really looking for here is how well the cameras react to the oncoming headlights. In other words, how fast they kind of stop down and stop up without dazzling the camera too much. This might be more of an issue where you're trying to capture something like wildlife jumping out in front of you to prove to the insurance company that you didn't just run into a tree on your own just for fun. And either camera would work for that, although there's definitely, I think, a better image coming from the Thinkware camera. The front cameras are, I think you see a lot more noise in the Blackvue camera, and as we work our way into some more suburban type areas, another commercial district, you can kind of see that the Blackvue camera maybe is dazzled a little bit more by the passing lights, the street lights and things like that. When you really compare the cars side by side, either one of them would work, I think, for most people. Again, you're really looking to just kind of capture your trip, but the more realistic view that you get from the Thinkware camera is probably going to be more useful in more conditions. One thing I did notice was the change in contrast with the Blackvue camera was that sometimes it was easier to read the lit signs even though the rest of the image wasn't as good. So something to consider if you're in that kind of area. Again, in particular from the rear view, the Blackvue rear camera is really having some trouble dealing with these kind of conditions. You kind of see the difference in the sky, even in this area between the two cameras. There's a little bit more of the stars and moon kind of thing. Almost immediately when we looked at the recordings, it was pretty obvious, the same things I'm showing you here, that the Thinkware camera is a more realistic view of the night sky, and the Blackvue is also pumping up the contrast and saturation just like it does in the daytime.
So there's the cop spots. Yep.
Alright, so we have these synchronized, and we're just doing a quick comparison of the two, and we'll do more analysis later, but there you go. There's a quick look at them together. It does seem brighter on the Thinkware, doesn't it?
I have more blue sky than yours.
You do have prettier colors, this is true. Your colors are prettier. Alright, so we're doing some daylight tests now, comparing the Blackvue to the Thinkware, and we'll be showing you those results. So here comes Darren up behind me. This is the Thinkware camera. You'll note the labels. There's the Blackvue label. That way you'll be able to tell what camera you're looking at. Now this is McKnight Road. This is north of Pittsburgh. It's in a suburban commercial district, and it will be typical of the kind of scenes that many of you will find in your suburban areas. And the detail on the road is actually kind of handy. You can see how the cameras compare. Again, the Thinkware camera tends to have a little bit truer look to it compared to the Blackvue camera, especially on the back view like this, where the Blackvue has a downgraded camera looking out the back of it. The Thinkware reverse camera, like this one, here you go, is actually the same unit effectively as what's in the front. So you don't see any change in the quality of the image when you go from front to back, unlike the Blackvue. And we tried to stay together as best we could. Sometimes we had to try a little harder than others, but we wanted to give you a side-by-side comparison so that you could judge for yourself the differences between the colors and the shutter speeds and things like that. Now, I've tried my very best to make sure that these images are not degraded in any way by editing them, compressing them, and uploading. If you haven't already, you'll want to make sure you're on the HD mode on YouTube so that you can see their full quality. Now, here on McKnight, you can look at the signs, you can kind of see some of the passing cars. You really don't get a very good look at the license plates for the most part, unless you are fairly close to them. And in Pennsylvania, we don't actually have a requirement for front license plates, so the rear camera view won't be as useful as maybe in other parts of the country or the world, where if somebody rear-ends you and tries to do a hit and run, you'll still have their plate. Here in Pennsylvania, we're just kind of out of luck. Now, this section of road is a climbing road, 2-lane, very twisty and very shady. This is taken in October, so the sun is very shiny. I should say it's shining brightly. And you can see neither camera really handles this dappled sunshine very well, but of the two, probably the Thinkware is going to be the winner because it's a little faster reacting to the dynamics of the changing light. When it goes from bright sunshine to shadow, it doesn't crush the image quite as badly as the Blackvue does. The Blackvue kind of starts to stutter, turns into a mess. And again, the rear view camera of the Blackvue is nowhere near as sharp as the rear view of the Thinkware, though I'm not going to show it to you here because there's not really anything to see. There's nobody behind me. And once we get out here on the highway, again, this is a fairly typical scene. You'll see this anywhere in the country, and I wanted to show you kind of how it looks as you pass other vehicles, what that might look like for people with longer commutes or on road trips. Both cameras very smooth. Both are able to handle this without any real compression problems. And you can see the license plates as we pass the cars. Now here they're not exactly synced up. I synced up the cameras to each other, but not, obviously we're not in the same section of road because I'm following Darren. You can kind of get an idea how the leaves on the trees and things like that, how the detail varies from camera to camera. They're pretty close in this environment. And after we did that, we went back to the Sheetz gas station where we started to compare notes. Little fun fact, as we understand it, the Sheetz gas stations are still owned by the family, and the two of the brothers that run the company both have Teslas, so we're hopeful that we'll see some superchargers here soon. So this is the $75 dash cam that I'm replacing, and this is good if you have a very cheap car. If you have a very good car, you probably want to invest in one of these higher end systems. Currently, the Blackvue is $350, the Thinkware camera is $400. So the question becomes, for that $50 difference, is it worth it? I happen to think that it is worth it. The Thinkware cameras are better quality, especially in the back, and the software is basically the same between the two cameras, so there's not really any advantage there for either one. When you add in the ease of use that comes from having the buttons on the Thinkware camera itself, combined with the better cameras, I think overall it's a better package and should be the new standard for Tesla owners.